Hi there, Pursuing Freedom friends, and thanks for tuning in today. We have an awesome episode for you today with my friend Amanda Bohorquez, who is out of Queens, New York. She is with the Iain Alexander Realty Group, and Amanda is blowing me away with her cutting edge approach to marketing, social media, and branding her real estate company. And we're going to kind of dig in today on some of the things that they've rolled out to not only build their brand, but also to help the agents on their team grow and market their business. And it's amazing. And we have to jump right in because I know that this is going to be chock full of content and you're going to want a notebook. So get ready to dig your teeth in. So Amanda, with no further ado, give us a little bit of your backstory. How did you end up in this crazy business, and what's your journey looked like up to now?
Thank you, Erin. I really appreciate the awesome intro. It's a pleasure to be on, Pursuing Freedom podcast with you. How did I get into real estate? It honestly was never part of the plan. I kind of went here by curiosity and an accident, but it's been a whirlwind of an awesome journey. How it actually began was that my longtime best friend from college, we wound up admitting that we were in love with one another after many years. And, I naturally started watching what he was doing closely in the business as we started living together. And, he's been a real estate broker for 5 years. And, I started to find an interest in real estate and what he was doing and working with the clients, and an even bigger interest in the marketing side of it all. And, I kind of made a joke one day and I said, I'm going to get my real estate license and join your team. And he got so excited and the joke became a reality. And I went with it. I got licensed. I shadowed him for about 5 or 6 months before I actually went through and took the test. And here I am almost 2 years later, and it's been amazing. I've learned a lot, and we've built an incredible team and recently launched an awesome new platform for our team that we're super excited about. And that's pretty much how I got in it and where I am right now.
So you got into it 2 years ago, you said?
Just about.
Okay. And let me ask you, did you immediately quit whatever other job you had and just go in full force while you shadowed him? Was that like you were shadowing him full time, or were you kind of moonlighting that around another job?
So I was moonlighting it around another job. There was some strategy to how I left my 9 to 5. I was a multimedia producer for a makeup company in Manhattan. And I actually gave them 30 days notice, and they didn't want to see me go. So they wound up offering me to go freelance for them. So what I was able to do was negotiate, a budget for me to do some freelance work for them from home while I shadowed him throughout the day and learned how to, manage clients and things like that. And then once I was ready to let go, I let go and moved full-fledged into real estate.
That's awesome. So when you talk about how you were kind of watching, so is your boyfriend's name Iain then?
His name is Alex.
Oh, Alex. Okay. So when you were shadowing him, more observing, I should say, prior to deciding to jump in, and you mentioned that, you had a lot of great ideas for marketing. What was Alex doing leading up to you kind of coming in and saying, hey, I have some ideas on how we can do this better? Was he already pretty full steam ahead with his social media marketing and whatnot?
So Alex had been doing things sort of hybrid, where he was combining newer marketing strategies that had to do with social media and, having a modern website, while also doing kind of the old-fashioned marketing and prospecting things where, you postcard and door knocking. So he had them together. And when I came in, I sort of brought in the whole high-end photography aspect, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, Google network ads, and we kind of married everything together and pushed everything more towards the modern side versus, having it kind of hybrid. And so now we're working on pushing it all the way where we almost get rid of the old-fashioned way and stick completely in the new.
Okay, awesome. And so what was your background in having all this knowledge that you were able to bring with you?
Well, I went to school originally for photography, And I wound up switching my major to a business marketing major. And I pretty much, studied that all the way through and took it into my photography business, which then led me to somehow landing that 9-to-5 job as a multimedia producer, where I was doing a lot of video production, a lot of photography, and a lot of web design and online advertising for that company on the design side. So I was able, it was a small makeup brand. So the team there was very tight knit, and I had, front row seats to the marketing department, access to the vice president of marketing at that company, access to, the VP of digital marketing there, and, the social media manager. So I pretty much was able to watch everything while also doing my work there, which gave me a lot of insight into, how to grow an online brand. They were grossing, it was a multi-million-dollar makeup brand. So I was a sponge, and I took everything and essentially translated it into, how it could work for a real estate brand.
It's amazing. So tell me a little bit about your role in the organization then, because you mentioned you've got a team, you're very much involved in the branding of the business, and you're also still selling real estate, right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah. So do you have a title for your organization? Or, are you just an agent who's also in the background doing all the marketing, or tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. So I actually recently was promoted to Chief Creative Officer. I have equity in the company. We are business partners in the brokerage. I originally started off as an agent, just working with buyers. I was pretty much Alex's buyer's agent. From there, I started focusing on the operations for the listing side of the transactions. And then from there, I kind of began focusing heavily on the marketing side. And then that's where we really noticed I had a big passion for. So we kind of kept me focused on that route, still managing transactions, but doing a lot of heavy lifting on the, content creation and online marketing side. And then as we started to build the team, leadership needed to happen. And so Alex took a big role in that. And so he basically leads, and I help on the operations side with everything creative. So anything that has to do with marketing, my hands are in it. And that's where we are right now, where I'm managing that side, and he's coordinating with the agents as far as training on the transaction side.
And then how many transactions do you think you'll personally handle this year amidst all of that?
Yeah. So Alex and I actually created our own team within the brokerage. So it's a team of 4 right now, and 2 buyer's agents, and then Alex and I. During the week, Alex and I are prospecting for listings, and then with the 2 buyer's agents handle all of our online buyer leads that come in. We delegate them and help them manage that. So for 2018, we're hoping just within our small team, we're going to accomplish 50 transactions. That's the goal. And that's not counting anything that happens with any other agents in the brokerage.
Okay, got it. And then what's the size of the team apart from the 4 of you at this point?
Sure. So there's 7 in total. So 4 of us are focused in one team, and then everyone else they're just individual agents. And the new business model that we came up with, it allows them to grow their own teams and set up their own, splits and operating situations there, which we help support them in.
So you're recruiting, selling, leading, mentoring, and, creating content. So, you're bored out of your mind, right?
I am actually very rarely bored. If anything, I have been told by people that I need to focus a little more on my artistic hobbies. Although it's a win-win when you really enjoy what you do, and I could talk about this stuff all day. It's a huge passion of mine, and I have so much fun with all of the other agents talking about, their marketing plan and how we can work on their online image. So it's all really fun and exciting for me, but it is a lot, and we do have every intention of bringing more people on board, especially on the back end side for assistance with all operations. And we have an entire plan on, which hire is going to be first, and so on and so forth, because it's crucial to our growth. We can't do it all alone forever.
Sure. Well, I couldn't agree more. When you're having fun, it doesn't always feel like work. So I can feel that from your energy. And I love it. So let's, there's so many different things I want to cover today. So let's talk a little bit about your philosophy around building your personal brand and online marketing. Like what does that look like for you in terms of being innovative, you know, knowing what the future is going to bring and what's important for you and your business, as well as for the agents that are coming onto your team?
Well, what I have really done is taken a look at, you know, what has worked and what hasn't worked for others who are on social media. And when I look at the grand scheme of social media content marketing as a whole for any business, not just real estate, is that, you know, building a personal brand is just that, it's personal. So, you know, you can't take an approach where it's all about real estate. You have to also show that human side. And I really do, I heavily advise the agents to, you know, document their life, not focus on creating content, but more so just documenting and repurposing the things that they do document. And you can see a lot of that on my own social media as well as the brokerage. You know, one of the biggest pieces of advice that I would give to someone looking to create their own personal brand within social media is really to just be authentic and show what's really going on. You know, no faking it till you make it. Just document. If you're just beginning and you haven't got any deals going on, talk about that. You'd be surprised. Someone might go and give you one because they're like, I see what you're doing. I see you working hard, and I want to help you in this. And that really does happen. I've heard stories.
It's interesting you say that, because I was talking to some agents just the other day, and we were talking about exactly that. I said, if you don't have a lot of past clients to market to, and you know, everybody has that fear when they first get into real estate of, I don't want to bother my friends, I don't want to be salesy, I don't want to be seen as I always, you know, just calling because I want to try to get a deal. And I said, well, if you think about the fact that the people that love and support you want to support you, so why not just be vulnerable and say the truth? You know, like when they're going to ask you, how's it been going since you got into real estate? Why not just be honest and say, you know what, it's freaking hard, and I'm trying to figure out how to make it click, and I'd love any support that you can show me. If you know someone that's looking to buy this year, please send them my way. You know what I mean? Like, just say the reality is it's hard, and I'd love your help. And that doesn't sound salesy to me. Like, if my friend said that to me, I would want to help them, of course, and I would find a way to do so. You know what I mean?
100%. I couldn't agree more. It actually worked really well for me back when I was in photography. You know, I became the go-to photographer within my community, within my family, friends, coworkers, everything. And it all started off because I was authentic with everyone. I said, hey, I'm trying to do this thing, support me. If you know anyone, recommend me, refer me. I would mean so much to me to help me get started. And the same applies across any business.
Yeah, I agree. So what about just digging in a little bit on this whole documenting and showing who you are and all that kind of stuff? Because I feel like personally, I find that very easy to do on Facebook, even on my business Facebook page, because I feel like it can be a combination of personal and professional. But then I feel like I get conflicting advice with the Instagram, because a lot of people talk about your grid. So when someone comes to your page, they see the whole grid and they're either going to be drawn in or not. And so sometimes I feel like when documenting, it ends up looking really haphazard. So what are your thoughts on that? Because I feel like there's two schools of thought. One is document and have constant content coming out, and a myriad of personal and professional, fun, serious, whatever. And then I hear another philosophy, which is make it look pretty so when they come to your page, they're drawn in immediately. What do you think?
I follow the school of thought of all the way documenting. If you really think about it, not too many focus so much on the grid as they do the actual value of the content that's being shared. If you look at some of the really big names, for example, a really big one, Gary Vee, if you look at his grid, no offense to Gary Vee, you'd love him, but it looks like a hot mess. There's a lot going on all over the place, and his content is insanely valuable. And you know, people follow him. He has millions of followers. And it's not so much the grid. I believe it's the value of the content, what it is that you're sharing. And at the end of the day, most people spend a lot of time, at least statistically from what I've researched, they spend a lot of time on the feed, not so much visiting individual pages and scrolling through the whole thing. About the most someone would see, especially based on how long the Instagram bios have become with all the contact information there, the most people are going to see is your first 3, maybe your first 6 photos. So every now and then you can make an attempt to spruce up your grid, but it shouldn't be the main focus, and you definitely shouldn't sacrifice the value of your content or putting up less content in exchange for having a prettier grid. That's one of the things that a big mistake I see a lot of brands do, and real estate agents especially. They'll wait to post because they need things to look a certain way, and it's really not necessary. It's more about the value.
So what about when you're getting stuck with content? Like what, they're, again, coming back to this, the difference between documenting and then having valuable content, because sometimes documenting is a random picture of your baby with his face covered in ice cream cake, right? That doesn't necessarily bring quote unquote value to your audience, but it's authentic and it shows them who you are as a person. Do you feel like every post has to have some story below it of something that's going to draw the follower in to your brand? Or do you feel like you can have that occasional, like, here's me skiing and all it says is like fresh powder, right? Like there's no story there.
Yeah. I'll go back to the first example you gave where the baby has all that going on. I think that providing value can also be found in showing that you're relatable, and that you're human, and sharing something like that, something funny, intimate, and also, yeah. People relate to that sort of thing. There are a lot of people out there who are going through the same, and with how social media is, it can seem a little overwhelming, or very overwhelming for a lot of people from the outside looking in. And to see that you're going through the same human things that they are going through, it helps them connect with you, which is originally what social media was intended to do. It's just become something else. And, something like showing that you're skiing and having a short caption there, my recommendation would actually be to lengthen the caption and tell a story with the skiing photo. Why are you skiing? Are you able to ski because you've hit a point in your career where you have the freedom to do so? Are you skiing because it's something that you use to relieve stress? Are you skiing because you're attempting to, spend more time with friends because you realize that you've gotten so caught up in business that you forgot about your personal life, right? Those things are relatable. Those things are aspiring. They're inspirational. That's how you can take a simple life post and make it something that's full of value.
That is really good advice, and I'm going to take that. You're going to see a skiing post of me here soon. It's going to make you well up with tears. Let's talk about fear a little bit, because fear is a big issue with anyone who's trying to make the leap into social media and just generally speaking, building that personal brand. So any advice that you have, how did you overcome your own fear? What kind of advice do you give to the agents on your team that are feeling that fear? Like, what can you say to that?
Yes, fear is a very big obstacle to overcome. As someone who spent years, a decade even, behind the camera, getting in front of the camera and understanding how important it was to have a social media presence in this industry, real estate, it became very apparent to me that I needed to get in front of the camera. That was the only way it was going to work. And I had a lot of fear. I had a lot of, how does my hair look, and my skin, and the clothes that I'm wearing, and the background, and I need high-res pictures. And if you actually scroll all the way down on my social media, I don't know if anyone will do that, but you can see the progression there and the confidence build up over time. And I always laugh at myself, but the biggest piece of advice I give the agents on our team is, you look like how you look, you sound like how you sound. People already know you, and if they don't, there's only you. That's it. You are who you are. Just be proud of that, and just get on camera, get in front of a photo. There's really, like, this is who we are, this is what we look like, and just go with it. It's not going to be perfect every time. If someone rewatches this, they're going to hear me say they're going to hear maybe some stuttering. I'm pretty sure I've done that along the way of this video, but it's okay, because that's what would happen in person. I'm not perfect. I'm flawed, and if anything, we should all find a little confidence in that we all have that in common, and just go with it. Just throw yourself out there. The worst that's going to happen is you have a friend or family member who's like, I don't think you should have posted that, or your hair looks crazy in that photo. But, it's not that big of a deal. You can always take the photo down or make fun of yourself later.
Well, and as a real estate agent, let's be honest, you cannot close a transaction without meeting someone in person. There's not going to be, a closing where you don't meet along the way. And at some point, even after they've met you and seen your face in person, they still choose to work with you, right? Meaning that, like, let's get over ourselves. It's not how we look. It's the value we bring. It's the service we provide that builds the trust. And it's trust that gets people to work with us time and again. So I agree that we shouldn't be afraid, but I know, like, I just joke that I threw my pride out the window and just decided to jump in head first. It's like, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. This is what you see is what you get,
Yeah.
So you mentioned something about, you actually kind of glazed over it, and it's actually a question I had for you, just out of curiosity, and you may or may not know the answer to this, but you know how you mentioned, if you don't like something, you can take it down. And sometimes as I'm going through my Instagram, I'm looking and I see something that I don't know why, I just don't love the way it looks in the grand scheme of things. Maybe it's like just too dark, or it just doesn't look appealing to me, or whatever. Or maybe it just didn't get a lot of activity, and it was a while back. Does it hurt your visibility to go back and clean up your Instagram and remove stuff that is either not relevant, not value adding, and just, or is it bad to go back and delete because it, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know how and I feel like you get rewarded for live videos over, pre-recorded ones. And I feel like in general, SEO is rewarding people that are sort of getting out there and not trying to make it perfect, if that makes sense.
Yes, it makes perfect sense. I think this kind of goes in line with there's no such thing as bad publicity. I'm big on just leaving it up there, mostly because I believe in documenting, and part of the imperfections of it all is part of documenting. And if you're going the route of hoping to someday, teach others about social media, it's probably good to have those up there, because you can refer back to them and show, like, hey, this is what I used to do before and it wasn't perfect, but I put myself out there. And it's a great lesson. Do I think if you have something extreme, like I would say if you're a real estate agent and you're posting, a year ago you were posting things that were, not necessarily politically correct or inappropriate, those I would definitely recommend removing, just for the sake of your business and your personal brand. But if it's something simple, like, a random sunset photo in Florida that just had like a short caption and it didn't really provide value, leave it up. It's no big deal. One thing that I do advise everyone, not just real estate agents, not to do is when you post a photo and it doesn't get as many likes as you had hoped, and then you remove it in hopes of posting it another time hoping it'll get more traction. I think Instagram is on to that, and it's not something that people should do. Just throw it up there. There are ways to support a post and help it get more traction when you actually do post it, and you can follow those strategies. But I wouldn't post things and then take them down immediately after if it didn't get what you wanted it to get.
Okay, last question, and then I want to shift gears because there's so much exciting things you're doing that I want people to hear about. But I'm curious, what is your strategy for? Do you have a certain number of times a day you post and certain times? Or when we talk about documenting, do you just throw content out there when it crosses your mind?
So I have a dual approach to it. Once a month, I sit down, it's usually on a Sunday, and I'll go ahead and plan out the next 30 days of content that I know for sure, this is what I have, this is what I'm teaching, this is what I'm coming out with, and everything's planned out. And then obviously, because I'm documenting, there are things that pop up that would be a really great piece of content. For example, this podcast popped up. It's not on my planned content schedule, but it'll definitely make it up there impromptu. So I squeeze those things into there, which leads to the grid not looking perfect. But that's okay, because the content has value in it, and that's really what matters. But as far as my actual, strategy, once a month, I'm planning out that month-long worth of content. And then every single day, I probably spend anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes liking vigorously through the top 10 hashtags that my target audience is within. And that is both with real estate agents and with local home buyers and sellers, because I do interact with both audiences within one Instagram page. And 10 to 15 minutes of vigorously doing that. And then I make sure to at least comment on minimum of 10 posts authentically, a long comment every single day, just to make sure that I'm engaging with different people all the time and trying to build those actual relationships and start something there, as opposed to saying congratulations or writing like super cool on a comment. I actually engage authentically, which has been huge, which has led to a lot of direct messages from people that I wasn't expecting, but it's been a beautiful thing. And then other than that, I post once a day. My plan in the coming months is to be able to post more often, but with more posting comes more content.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you plan out 30 days of at least one planned post per day, and then you just sprinkle in whatever else, so it tends to be 2 or 3 posts a day?
Yes. So the max that I'll do is 2 posts. And that's just because I know the length of the amount of content that I have going out, and I don't want to run into a situation where, I only have a week's worth of content left. Because then that's when that stress starts to build up, because you get closer and closer to that. I'm running out of content. What do I post? I also have a Dropbox full of just images and so many images that I just shoot anywhere from last year, this year. If I'm at open houses, listings, taking pictures of the little tables, I call it back pocket content.
That's awesome.
In the event that I ever run out of what to post, even for the brokerage, I can always dig into that back pocket content and kind of utilize that to keep me going if I ever did run out.
I love this. I mean, I'm just eating this up. I love what you're doing. So changing gears a little bit here, because like I said, I want to make sure we touch upon everything. I was really impressed by the way that you shared with me that you guys offer free classes to real estate agents from any company to come and learn from you and your team. And you basically do this with, in a solicitation free zone, if I understand it correctly. So can you tell the listeners more about this? Because this is like, I always talk about the Go Giver book, and this is just Go Giver on steroids. And it's genius. Like everything you're doing to put out content and be of value to everyone you meet, and you're doing it from a place of authenticity, and it makes you magnetic. You are attracting not only the transactions and the success that you're seeking, but you're attracting team members that want to be a part of what you're doing. It's fascinating. So please just give me a little bit about the backstory so we can share that with our listeners.
Definitely. So Alex, my broker and business partner and boyfriend, we got to talking, and as a newer real estate agent, I started to see some patterns within the industry where a lot of agents were expressing to me within direct message that they were unhappy at their brokerage because of either lack of training or lack of support or lack of tools. And there was all this lack. And, I realized that there are a lot of promises made by brokerages, where brokerages plural. A lot of promises made by these companies that it doesn't always necessarily get delivered on. And we decided to take a give without expecting approach to it, where we understood that a lot of agents, they need that support, they need that training, they need that help, that guidance. We wanted to offer it. And, we decided we could do that in the form of events and in the form of content. So we decided we would have events that included guest speakers who are industry experts, who could share their insights on things that real estate agents could do better to help, grow their business. And that would be one avenue where certain events we would host just for, our individual team members. And then events that we would leave open for, the public, anyone who's in the real estate industry can attend and they can benefit from it. And the idea is that we're able to, get to know them and grow this community. And in doing so, it's only been, 3 weeks since we've been at this new concept, and it's been really great. We've made so many amazing relationships with agents that we never met before, who previously they probably would have never had lunch with us or came to any of these events from fear of like, oh, I have to join them if I go to the event, or oh, this is a recruitment session, and there's no recruiting that happens. If you'd like to know more about us and how we do things, just ask. We're here to support the community and you, whether you're with us or not. If you're with us, you get more support.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, we took that approach, and then with the online portion, we're going the value way, where we're actually going to host webinars that people can sign up for and watch some of these trainings online privately as well. So we're taking it from a stance of, give without expectation. And if someone loves what we're doing and they really believe in all of it, they can come on board and benefit even more on a higher level.
Well, the beauty of all of this is that certainly the law of reciprocity will, work in your favor. There's no question about that. When you go about serving others with no strings attached, typically folks want to support you back, and I'm sure that you're going to be experiencing that in a great abundance here in the future. But the other thing is just kind of bringing it full circle. As you are doing all this documenting and personal branding, and you're being authentic and you're sharing your true self, the beauty of that is that if somebody is drawn to you and the value that you provide, not just in a technical way in terms of marketing support and all this other stuff, but they're drawn to you and your personality. And it's who you are completely and authentically you. They're drawn to your imperfections and your perfections, right? So there's that too, as you're out there and you're being vulnerable and exposing yourself, is that you will attract the right match because they're drawn to you, and I think that's a really interesting side effect that folks may never think about. But as you're out there and you're doing it initially from a marketing approach to generate business, but eventually if you ever want to scale your business and you're looking to even just hire an assistant, and they can find you on social media and they can get to know you and feel that they know your personality and that, they're going to enjoy working with you, I think that gives you a leg up as you grow, right?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. We actually had one agent join us at the very beginning of this year, and she found us purely through social media. She followed the entire team, and she was loving everything that we were doing, and she came to us on her own and said, listen, I love what you're doing. I believe in it. I want to be a part of it. How can I get started? And now she started, and she's doing great, and she has a really promising, career ahead of her.
That's amazing. Let's talk a little bit about your team and the resources that you are providing, because you guys have developed something amazing, this portal that I'm not going to butcher by describing. I'll let you share it, because I think it's cool what you're doing. It's really cutting edge, and I think that the folks that are looking ahead with their real estate business are going to be drawn to the value you guys are providing.
Definitely. So, we wanted to find a way to make all of the content and value and training that we have to offer easily accessible to agents who join us. And we came up with this concept of creating the Iain Alexander Agent Portal. And essentially, it's a private login to our website just for our real estate agents. And when they go in, they have access to a knowledge base, which has over 125 training videos from how to work with buyers, how to work with sellers, negotiating strategies and techniques. And we're eventually going to add pro tips, such as, helping people who are experiencing foreclosure, social media marketing, things like that. They also have access to another section called Social Realtor. And this is essentially a database of a bunch of collections of professionally shot images that they're able to use in their marketing materials and their social media posts. completely theirs. They can use it however they choose. They have rights to the photos, each and every one of them. And there are also pre-written captions within them. So in the event that, you're new to social media and you're having trouble coming up with what you might want to say regarding the specific image, you can use that as a starting point, or, copy and paste it as well. And we also created a portion where they can easily access and download real estate documents that are 100% branded. All they have to do is download and print. And then we also, there are so many sections to it. I could go on and on.
Well, I think if anyone's listening, first and foremost, if you're in New York and you're in Queens, you might just need to go take Amanda for coffee, although I'm sure that her calendar is probably pretty full given all the things she's doing. But I just feel like if you're listening and you're building your own team and you have this vision of attracting talent, think about what these guys are doing. This is just absolutely incredible. You're not just, saying, I'm going to help you grow your business. You're actually providing the tools for them to do so. And it's just phenomenal. So I do have a question for you. So what about when you've got agents that come to you and they are clueless about all this branding stuff? Is any of it handled for them if they want that? Or do you just teach them and empower them to get off your butt and do it, basically?
We do believe very much in the get off your butt and do it 100%. But we believe in supporting you in, getting up off your butt kind of thing.
Yeah.
I make myself accessible to everyone on the team. I always tell them, anything you need, we will provide. You just have to take the initiative and ask for it, but we'll find a way. And that's the general consensus behind that support. But I do touch base with each of the members every single week, and I ask them, is there anything that I can do for you? Is there anything you're having trouble with? Anything that you need? Would you like to set up a time to talk about your marketing campaign or social media, or how to use Facebook to generate leads? I make myself very available. My schedule is jam-packed, but at the end of the day, the idea is that we're here to help them grow their businesses, because as real estate agents, they are business owners, and a brokerage's job is to help support them and give them the tools that they need in order to grow their business in an exponential way. So that's a top priority for us. But it's definitely a take initiative type of workplace, in that, we want self-starters, and we want to create that kind of environment and culture where people understand, okay, I need to do it. If I need help, I'll ask.
Yeah, well, I think that's the business in general, right? Is that we see so many folks that hope for success but aren't doing the work. And at the end of the day, I believe in manifesting, but you've got to set your intention, know your goals, and then put the action behind it if you want to manifest something, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, I think that's good that you make them get off their butts and do it. So awesome. Well, I don't want to take too much of your time. I just cannot thank you enough. You're such a wealth of knowledge. And guys, if you're drawn to any of this information and hungry for more, Amanda's Instagram page is literally full of just free ideas, advice, instruction on everything that they're doing and everything that you could be doing to make your branding better. It's just, you're just amazing. So please tell listeners, how can they get in touch with you? How do they find you on any platform or any way that you want to share?
Absolutely. I am mostly on Instagram under @realestateWithAmanda. But you can also find me on Twitter at RE with Amanda. I'm also on Facebook, Real Estate with Amanda. And then I also recently launched a blog. It's amandabohorquez.com, and I share a lot of free content there. It's 100% free. I'm actually asked a lot why I share it for free, and I think it's what I would have wanted when I first started, so I'm just paying it forward.
I appreciate it, and I know that everyone else will as well. So honestly, thank you, and I wish you guys huge success. I can't wait to follow the journey along and see where you guys are headed, and just appreciate everything you do.
Thank you so much, Erin. I appreciate it, and I'm grateful to be on this podcast.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. I hope you loved this interview as much as I have enjoyed doing it. And as always, if you're enjoying the content, please go ahead and leave a review on the iTunes podcast, on the app on your phone. Just scroll down and look for the place to leave a review, because it really does help us attract these amazing guests from all over the country and continue to put out great content. So thanks as always. I appreciate all of you. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.